But let's get into Lupita, right? So I go to the movies. Like before I went, I posted on X. I'm going to see this movie. I'm gonna go live today. Afterwards, I'm just getting from the movie theater. So um, it wasn't a lot of people in there. Now I didn't go. Unfortunately, I didn't go to IMAX theater where because funny thing is I had moved the place I was at. The IMAX theater was right there. But anyway, I may see an IMAX in. But so looking at Lupita, right? Why Christopher Nolan would add her not only to the movie, but she has a twin that is married to Agamemnon. He did it for awards. He wants to win an Oscar. He wants to sweep awards, right? And I hope for his sake he wins it. Now, I will say the one thing that really saved Christopher Nolan is that he's a very intelligent director, and he had all types of people in this movie. He had white, black, Asian. He had an Hispanic, right? And it was funny because one of the scenes that one of the Asian guys they were going past the sea nymphs, right? And they're going past the sirens, excuse me, not sea nymphs, the sirens, right? So they're going past the sirens, and they're supposed to put wax in their ears, right? And then the Asian guy takes the wax out of his ears. It's hilarious. And dives into the water to go to the sirens. And he was the only one that jumped out the boat. I almost had a little chuckle there. I'm like, what? Oh man. They had the brother. He was, I guess, a buddy of the Robert Pattinson character. They were if y'all seen the Odyssey movie, y'all remember it might have been a limited series, but I think it was a movie in the late 90s with Armand Assant. He played Odysseus, did a great job. Y'all remember those two characters that were the suitors, and they were like buddies. So I guess those two were iterations of that character, right? The witch scene caught me off guard. Yeah, but that's a part of it, about turning the soldiers into animals. Now the way that they did it was kind of weird, because like the way that she did it, she had them probably eating other humans, and then she just started rubbing them and like molding them into pigs. It was very weird. She basically, it's almost like she was molding clay. It was a weird scene. But as far as Lupita is concerned, she didn't take away the viewing experience.
It's sad to see how he's fallen. Went from the Dark Knight trilogy Inception, Frankfurt a few years ago. He wanted to tell a story and now bend the knee.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Eric. Yeah, unfortunately, it's unfortunate. That's, he basically had to conform. He had to play the game, and I hope it works out for him playing the game. I hope that he's able to win as many awards as he's looking to win, because he had, and the thing is with the trans person, right? Elliot Page, right? Used to be Ellen Page. They did a movie together. Elliot Page, when Elliot Page was Ellen Page, they were in the Inception movie. That's back when Ellen was a female. Now Ellen is Elliot. So they've worked together before. So so they have a working relationship. But yes, he wanted to adhere to all the guidelines, which is ridiculous. I'd rather see a movie that is 100% faithful to the source material than you try to push an agenda, right? Because that's what this feels like. You were pushing an agenda. the agenda that Hollywood wants you to push. You got to have a trans person, gay person. You got to have women in prominent positions. But Christopher Nolan was very intelligent. He made sure that midway through the movie, you did not think about that. You didn't think about Helen of Troy. You didn't think about the Asian warrior. You didn't think about Elliot Page. Now I will say this: the story was, unfortunately, the story was built around Elliot Page, the trans person, because the trans person was the first person you saw next to the horse. Now that's Elliot Page. They were the first person that the Trojan soldier saw sitting next to the Trojan horse, and they killed that character like right, was it like the first scene, but there was a flashback here or there. Then when Odysseus had to go to Hades, he saw the character Sanat. That's the name, Sanat, right? And the story was like almost like it was kind of built around Sanat. It was weird, When people are saying that the movie's woke, these people didn't watch the movie. They're just saying stuff just to be saying it. I didn't see not one woman picked up a sword and fought nobody. I personally think that directors should not listen to, I think, weird criticisms. Movies should be made, especially if you're using source material. Like if Christopher Nolan created a story, right? Created his own Odyssey story, I don't think people would care. But because there's source material there, people are saying that he stayed close to it with the Sanat character. But of course, because it's Hollywood and, in the UK especially, right? The UK you have to check every box in the UK. If you don't check every box in the UK, you're not going to be able to produce movies or TV. Shout out to Landa.
You've got to bust it open for an Oscar. Man shrugging, dark skin tone.
Reset that, Landon. That's what it is now. That's what it is now. People have to bust it open for awards. What's good, Shaquan? Because if they don't, they're not gonna win. They changed the criteria. These directors, like him, make movies for awards. They don't make movies just for the money. They make movies for awards, because awards to them is the ultimate validation of their work. You can look at the studios that make movies for money. It's a bunch of slop, right? It's a bunch of slop. But directors like him, unfortunately, are having to adhere to certain criteria in order to be able to compete for awards. It's sad, but it's true. And that's their ultimate sign of validation, unfortunately. For a guy like Christopher Nolan, who's a smart director, the ultimate sign of validation for them is to win awards and to get that validation. I would want to make movies because I enjoy making movies and creating art. But awards is art to them. It's like what they seek, what they work hard for. And Christopher Nolan said something so disingenuous. He said he wrote the character of Helen with Lupita Nyong'o in mind. I don't know if I believe that. What's good, Sherelle? I don't know if I believe. Now, I will say this, though. If you go... Now, there are black people, right, who do research, and they've been able to... They believe that they have proven that there were blacks or African peoples in Greece or in Greek countries. They believe that they have proof of it. I've watched some videos and been on some channels where, they're showing coins, right? And other things to prove that there were melanated people in Greece during the Bronze Age. Now, people got to understand, things are very interconnected between North Africa or even the eastern part of it, the Middle East, parts of Asia, and then west in Eastern Europe, right? There are people, they believe that they've been able to prove that there were black people in these, or African melanated people in those countries. That's what they believe. Some people believe that, maybe Helen was, what is Helen's origin story? I think that's what Christopher Nolan went off. He like, you know what? We don't know what Helen's origin was. We don't know where she's from. So why don't we create something? But the thing is, when you try to create something, people are going to say, well, why would you pick Lupita? No diss to her, but Lupita isn't, I'm not going to say, now there are people who may find her attractive. I'm not saying she's ugly, but there are going to be people that's going to say that's not the face that launched 1,000 ships. And the funniest thing is that in the movie, when Temecula went to go see Menelaus, and Lupita's character Helen was sitting at the table with them, the Menelaus character, he looked over at her and he pulled her face over, and she had a scar on the left side of her face, and he said, this is the face that launched 1,000 ships. Well, maybe 500.